Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Outlanders. We're here back at the main base after 2 episodes, back at the new scientific district that we've been working on. And I thought I might give it a little bit of a break before returning to there. We've still got the crystal somewhere down in our catacombs of our base. Somewhere down here, where is it? Yeah, I always lose it, but there it is. You can still see the scientific instrument we've got locked up. We've still got a lot of cats around it for some strange reason, and of course it is still nice and safe within its chambers. So at some point in the next couple of episodes we shall be moving this to its new location, ready to be kept nice and secure away from all those who would try and steal it. I must say though, it is really nice to be back at the main base full of all these colours, the reds, the greens, the nether portals, all these heads, these trees, and all the bits and bobs that make up the main base where we've been staying for quite a bit of the season. But there isn't much time for looking around because we've got a big project we need to get done today. And that major project involves the very thing that we've got in our right hand, in iron. Now, I feel that iron is one of the most valuable resources in the game. It's certainly better than diamonds or gold, partly because it's hard to find underground, or it's rather easy to find underground. You really need heaps and heaps of it. You need hundreds or if not thousands of iron ingots just to make a sorting system, which is something we need to do as well. If you look at the bottom level, which I think is this thing down here, we've got a lot of space down here which we're going to be using for a storage system. But of course we're going to need a lot of hoppers. If our storage systems in season 1 or 2 is anything to go off, we're going to need somewhere in the region of a couple hundred, possibly even 1,000 hoppers. So that is well over 5,000 pieces of iron, and that ain't cheap. Thankfully though, there is a way to solve that, and that is by building iron farms. Now, there are many iron farm designs online, but I'm going to be going with Silent Whisperer's design, specifically for 1.16, so hopefully I remember to put a link into his video in the description, so you can check that out at your leisure. However, one of the things we need to do is mark out exactly where the farms are going to go, the iron farms. Now, one of the troubles we're going to find is that when we build it, we need to build it a certain number of blocks away from other villagers. And of course, we've got ourselves a very massive village under here, because each villager and each of these and of these things, the villager, the composter, or any other workstation, and the beds, they all add up towards a village. So we've got ourselves a sort of village down here. However, it's never going to produce iron golems, because for that you need the villagers to start interacting with each other, and these walls between them make it kind of hard to do that. So we need to make sure that our iron farms are, I think it's 96 blocks away from each other on the horizontal plane, and 72 I think it is on the what's the up and down one, the vertical plane. So that is X and Y, Z and Y, Z and X respectively. So let's quickly sleep and see what we can do. Now, part of the problem we're facing is that the villagers all form a village, as we know, as I just explained to you, and the village is calculated by the first bed that is placed. So it could be anywhere underground. So it could be under here, or it could be under here, or it could be under here, or so on and so forth. So it could be anywhere, and the center of the village is counted from there. So we are going to have a lot of trouble trying to figure out exactly where we can place these iron farms. Now, I've popped into a creative flat world, as you can see, and that's just to show a couple of things. Now, our base, let's say our base is here, and let's make it a 4 wide center. So we need to be 96 blocks away, and I've just realized I've got no coordinates. So that means it could be around here on each side. Now, if we do the same on each quarter, 1, 2, 3, this is just supposed to be rough anyway, so don't get too annoyed at the very wide distances that they are. But if we had the farms there, which they could possibly be, we stand here, they could potentially render in. But bearing in mind that our base is going to end around here, then they need to be 96 blocks from there. So it's going to be 400 across or something like that, because our base is around about 100 blocks in diameter, and then we need to go another 100 blocks out the other side, 96 to be precise. So I don't think that's the solution to put it surrounding our base. What is probably the best solution is to have a set of iron farms 1, 2, or 2, 3, and 4, and with our center one here. So that means that we've got sanding here, and we've got a 96 gap. So this is 96 blocks in between, and something like that. Then of course we're able to stack it 72 blocks in between. So this block here is 72, and like so. And which means, and if Silent Whisper is correct, here's the design I'm using. We need to be, let's actually use some red wool to get ourselves up. We need to stand ourselves on this block here, because they will render, iron golems will render in 46, I think it's 46 blocks, 45 blocks vertically, so up and down. So that means if we're standing here in the middle of them, this one should render, this one should render, this one should render, this, and this. So all 8 should render, which does mean getting 20 villagers for each of them. So that's 20 times 8, 160 villagers, which is going to be a lot of work. However, since these farms do produce, 420 per hour, I think it is. So 420 times 8 is going to be 3,200, I think, per hour. I assume we've got my math right. So not only are we going to have a lot of iron, we're going to have, well, a lot of string and a lot of poppies. We're going to have iron for days, which is going to be very good. I also had the thought that since this is going to be 96 and this is going to be 96 blocks apart here on all sides, these two should be 96 blocks apart here and here as well. So that means I could potentially get 8 surrounding the single block, and that means 16 in total, which does mean that 16 times 420, which if I just get my calculator out on my other devices, let me just find that right now. 16 times 420 is a whopping 6,700 pieces of iron per hour, which is a lot. So I'm possibly going to need the world's biggest storage system right here, as well as the world's biggest storage system over there for my own. So, and then of course I'm going to need 20 villagers for each, I believe. So 20 times 16 is 320, which is a lot more villagers than I think we've got. So we might need to slowly build this up over time. Now the last thing to consider before actually building all this is the render distance of the server. Now each of these chunks, each of these things is of course the 96 blocks, which is 6 complete chunks, I believe, 6 lots of 16. So that means, assuming we stand here and these are exactly in the chunk barriers, these might be slightly out of the rendered distance. I just need to check that. And after a little bit of adjustment, with a bit of calculation, that's probably not going to be enough, because if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, this is actually the 5th chunk. The 6th chunk would be here, and that's too close to our base, so that's not going to work. We're going to have to figure out a slightly better solution. I've also just had a thought while I was building this thing, or looking for a place to build it. I've remembered that these things are actually going to be 12 or 13 chunks apart if I leave these as 6 chunks, which actually means I could have put one in here. I don't particularly want to do that, so what I'm going to do instead is have these at 3 chunks apart. So 3 chunks, 3 chunks, 3 chunks, 3 chunks. That might leave, I actually remember that might leave these two too close. I'm not entirely sure. As you can see, I've been doing a little bit of testing, and you can also see by the iron on the ground here that the test didn't go very well. These two things should be 96 blocks apart, at least where the pillars are, and the golems are spawning in the middle, so this design isn't going to work. I also noticed that Silent Whisperer also put out a new iron farm design, which should be a little bit more helpful. It does mean having to put the iron farms about 300 blocks away from any other beds or villages or whatever, so that is going to be a little bit hard, but we should be able to do it. Now I also did a bit of figuring out on this one, and it turns out that this isn't going to be a very good design, because we are going to have to get our placement very right. And as you can see, if I'm standing in this quadrant, in this chunk here, the villagers there and the villagers there do not turn up, and you can watch. Oh wait, the iron golems do still spawn, but I still don't think this is going to be a very good design. I'm going to have to do a bit more testing, I think. I've been watching this thing for a little while, and it seems that these two villages here have merged somehow, because the golem that just spawned there spawned right in the middle of them, and these ones have generally been spawning over here, never over here. So I think somehow these two have merged, which is going to be a little bit of a problem when we try and build the one over here and the one over here in the server. So I think with all that considered, we're going to have to talk to Gamer, because he's going to be building this thing with me, and figure out exactly which design we want. Because I'm starting to think the second design, even though it's less efficient, it's probably a little bit more less work as well, but it's still going to get us the iron. The other design is about 1400 iron an hour, and these 8 combined are about 3200 an hour, which is of course more, but it's still more work, and we have to build in the air as well, which is not ideal. I spent a bit of time trying to figure out what we're going to do, and I think I've come up with a solution. Now, the second Silent Whisper design that came out about 20th of September or so does mean that we're going to have to build a lot of stuff, and it does mean we're going to have to build 300 blocks away from any other workstations, which is not ideal, and I don't think we're going to be able to find a spot near our base that we can do that. So we're going to come back to this design, and instead of having the 8 around like this, we're going to get rid of these ones here, it doesn't really matter which compass directions, and have just the 4 spaces there, or the 3 spaces there. So one there, and we get rid of the 2 modules here and here. Same on this side. There, boom, and that should mean these are 7 chunks apart, or that is 7 times 16 is 106, I think. So no, 102 or something like that. So it's far enough apart, and then these would be 78 blocks apart, or 80 blocks apart if we can get it. And this block here will be a nice AFK platform, so that should be a lot better. Now that we've figured out where we want to, or how we want to build this thing, we should decide where we're going to build it. And I'm thinking just offshore of both my base and my little island in this chunk over here should be just about right. Now, obviously this one does intersect a number of chunks, so we do have to be careful, but I think this one here should be our central chunk here. So if we make ourselves some chests with the wood into there we go, and put a sign here for Waffle, or Gamer I should say, to say this is our central chunk, and these are storage chests in which to put all the stuff that we're going to need, which is a lot of stuff. So I just need a sign, and then we can start figuring out where the two modules are going to be. Okay, so if this is going to be the central chunk here, we need to leave 3 in each direction. So we've got 1 here, 2 here, and I probably should be flying, but we'll see. 1, 2, 3, and then just over here is the 4th chunk that we need to go in. So let's just head all the way down to here, and then we need to put a sign in, and hopefully it's pretty obvious to Gamer where our 2 chunks is going to be. So we just build ourselves up, and then put a sign on top of that, and we say chunk 1 iron farm. There we go. So hopefully that went on, there it is, and now we just need to go 3 chunks in the other direction and do the same, like so, if we can fly. Now obviously these iron farms are going to take quite a bit of resources. I'm just going to read off a list. We need 735 solid blocks, 137 slabs, 78 glass, which I will start smelting with the sand here, not here, over here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. I always forget where it is. We also need 29 signs, 20 villagers, or well, these are for a single thing. 19 bits of a color and 1 of another. 9 campfires, and for that I'm going to use soul campfires. 9 hoppers, 3 torches, 2 chests, and a piece of some lava, and of course water, which we are completely surrounded with, and of course things to move the villagers with, which could be the worst part of it. So let's get started on producing all that. Well, I'm in a slightly different place. I've come over to Char's base because he has got a bit of a mob farm here. You can see string, bones, gunpowder and bows and all that. And I've also got the tag, which is a little bit unfortunate because I came over here with Char and he decided to try and tag me, which is very, very annoying. But anyway, I think I'll do a bit of AFKing here. As you can see, I've got a bit of wool, but I've also realized there actually is a dungeon under my base, which might be a little bit more useful for finding string or getting string quicker. So let's head back to our base and work out how we're going to do the string the most efficiently. This also does mean that we have been tagged for the 4th time. Unfortunately, Char had got it for the first time, so hopefully we can find someone new to tag this time round. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, okay. This is why you don't ever do this in first person. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, now that I've got all my gear back and I'm at my base, I just need to find where the entrance is, and I think it's just here. So, if we make our way down into this part of the base, we should be able to find some string factories. I think it's this way. There we go. We can see the cobwebs, so we should just be able to make our way over here, and there's the portal, or the thingamabob. So if we get rid of this thing on top, they should start spawning, and we should be able to get ourselves a load of string rather quickly. And with this bit now hollowed out, all I have to do is just stand here clicking away until I've got myself enough wool for 80 beds, which is 240 wool, which is going to be quite a bit of string. 240 wool, of course, is about 4 stacks, so as you can see, we've still got quite a bit to go. Well, it took a fair bit of time, about an hour or so, but I've got myself all the wool I need, and I managed to somehow get myself a spider head from cave spiders, which is probably a little bit weird and definitely not right. I'm going to have to look into the files for that, but I suspect it's a little bit of a bug, or just a misplaced file. But anyway, let's get these beds over to the place, and also, actually before we do that, we should get ourselves 2 different colors. We'll need some green if we can get it. Get rid of all these spider eyes. Some green or 2 different colors. So we'll go with green and red, I suppose. So if we get rid of those, we just need 20. I think I had 20 colored dye somewhere. There we go, 20 dye, and we also need to get ourselves some other color, which should be around here somewhere. Let's see. And there we go, we've got ourselves quite a lot of beds. We've got 4 brown beds and the 76 green beds that we've got. So I believe we've got just about everything we need, except of course the villagers, which are going to be the hardest part of this experiment. And of course now we've got ourselves the stone that gamers very thankfully dropped off. So thank you very much, gamer, for that. And now that we've gathered up all the resources, or at least most of the resources that we're going to need, we probably should start building this thing. I'm probably going to build most of it off camera because we are just about at 20 minutes, so which does signal the end of our episode. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one, and don't forget to keep looking out for those Among Us episodes, which are going to be going weekly for the foreseeable future. I hope to see you playing those games soon. Goodbye.